Hi guys, it's me, Derek, and I'm here with Brittany.
Hey guys, what's up?
So we're just going to get into the regular program in a few minutes. We're going to be talking about is RNG, some of the photography she has done for the promotion and stuff like that, and her singing, and some other topics. And I'll see you guys in the next segment. Bye, guys. Hey guys, we're back. So we're just going to get into the regular stuff that we always do. So let's get into our daily wavelengths. So what have you been listening to over the past week and stuff like that?
I've been listening to a lot of classic kind of rock, like Fleetwood Mac and Pink Floyd, stuff like that. I've really been getting into.
Okay. I haven't heard that in a while. Which songs particularly?
One of my favorite Fleetwood Mac songs is called Gypsy.
I think I heard that one.
Yeah, it's really good. You should listen to it.
Yeah, I have to get back into like some of that like old school rock stuff because I don't listen to it as much as I used to. Because I'm mostly like R&B veined, so like I stay in that era. Like, I stay literally in like the '90s or early 2000s R&B era and like hip hop era as well. So it's like I have to like stop myself from staying in there so long,
right?
Because then I miss out on good stuff that's actually happening. But for me, I've been listening to Lil Dicky and Chris Brown. I don't know if you heard that song, Freaky Friday.
I have not.
It's like literally based off of the movie.
Oh, really?
Freaky Friday, and like the video is amazing.
Oh, cool.
So if you guys haven't checked that out, please check that out. Another person I've been listening to is Javon, an R&G artist, with his new single "Isn't Love." I've been jamming to that for the past week, and then we have somebody that's been supporting the Millennial Tones podcast for a while. His name is Run It Up Tune. He has a song called Ain't My Dog, and he's going to be releasing like an album soon. I'll post it all on Instagram, but that's coming out soon, so please check him out, and please check out the single. I'm going to link the single in a post later. But what kind of throwbacks have you been listening to?
Throwbacks?
Yeah.
Like any specific like genre?
Doesn't really matter.
That's a good one. Maybe like early like or late 90s pop, like Brittany Spears. Like always, like that's always like a thing just like throw on and like sing to in the car. I mean, you can never go wrong with Spice Girls. So that's like fun. I like those things.
Yeah. One thing I forgot. I forgot about Top Off. Did you hear that one by DJ Khaled for?
No.
You haven't heard that one yet?
No. I've been like so out of like.
Yeah, that's what happens to me. Like I literally just like blank out on like a whole like season of music sometimes, and it's weird. So like I come in late. So it's DJ Khaled, Future, Jay-Z, and then Beyonce.
Okay.
Literally, the only reason I like the song is because Beyonce's on it. Because I just can't. Like for some reason, like the first part of the song is just so annoying to me. But like once Beyonce's part comes on, it's just like, oh yeah, it makes sense now. It makes sense for the song. And then another reason I think like it probably irritated me because like I don't know if you heard the song "Tap Out."
No.
Yeah, it sounds like pretty similar in the beginning. So I'm just like, this is literally just Tap Out with Beyonce on it.
So it's like almost kind of sampled.
Like it's almost kind of sampled, but it's not sampled, so they can skate off with it. So it's interesting to see that.
Right.
But my throwbacks, I've been listening to a girl group that's a girl group of sisters called Cherish. And I've been listening to the Truth album. Specifically, I don't know if you guys remember the single Killer. Shawty's a killer, but I really wanna, but I really have him tonight. That's the song. And then like there's another song called Amnesia. Damages, which has like a really great beat on it. And then Only One, you guys can find this on Spotify. If you guys are not familiar with the group, they actually have a few singles that came out in 2017 and 2018 was a recent single. I believe that it's just two of the sisters now because it was four sisters, but now it's just two sisters. So I'm thinking that's what the group is composed of now. On Spotify, but you guys can check that out, as I said before, Spotify. Then I've been listening to some old Maxwell songs, who I live for, like Fortunate, Ascension, Matrimony, Maybe You, Bad Habits, and pretty much like his whole catalog, pretty much, to be honest. So that's my throwbacks and daily wavelengths as usual. We're just going to get to some interesting stuff that's been going on in the music industry. I wanted to talk to you about, I talked about it myself in the last podcast I did, but about the whole like Bruno Mars controversy. Like, I don't know if you noticed, like, heard anything about that. Like,
yeah, I saw something like going on with him, but I'm not exactly.
Okay, so let me recap it for you. So there's a YouTube channel called The Grapevine TV, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like pretty much like an interview. They talk about it's like a big panel of like African Americans and Africans.
Okay.
So it's like a whole panel of that, and they pretty much just talk about pop culture and like the influences by a lot of stuff, but they like research everything before they come in. So it's like pretty much it's like The View in a way, but it's just like for millennials.
Right.
So they came up to the topic of Bruno Mars, and they were talking about is he a culture appropriator? And then they said it's like a nuanced thing because he's obviously a person of color, and usually when you think of culture appropriation, it's literally either African American against white or like another culture against white people. But since it's another person of color doing it, it's very nuanced, and people really don't think of it as culture appropriation. Mm-hmm. But they brought up a lot of good points about how black art is usually we make the art, and then over time in history, we get written out of the history, and it becomes somebody else's well doing, and they get paid off of what we created. So people are saying that, and most of his music, he uses like New Jack Swing influences, like from early '90s music. Mm-hmm. So people are like, he's not creating anything new from it. He's just pretty much just using all the same songs and just using it over and over again.
Right.
So people brought that up, and then there was like a girl named Sensei. Her name is really Seren, but she has a YouTube channel called Sensei. I forget how to pronounce the A word after her name, but she's on YouTube as well. So she's had some controversial comments because she's very blunt. She was like, mm-hmm. I don't care if he, like, I can't stand Bruno Mars and blah, 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 blah. Like, if he died, I wouldn't care. Like, said stuff like that. But she's very blunt. So, mm-hmm. like, if you've been watching her forever, like, you know that's Seren. Right. So, like, so for the national public, it blew up after that. So it was like a whole week they had like an interview on Hot 97. So it was like a panel of them from the actual panel that were on Hot 97 talking about it, talking about like the backlash and stuff like that. And then Seren did her own video about that. So I just wanted to get like your opinions on that. Do you think it might be? Because my position on it was, while it might not be as direct as it would be if he was white, like if he was like how Justin Timberlake, people say he's a culture appropriator as well, and like Iggy Azalea, like and Miley Cyrus, because it's like they can shred the black image off of them whenever they want, and just like copy off of hip hop, copy off of R&B whenever they choose to, and then return to whatever white style it is.
So, like, honestly, I don't really pay too much attention to him, like, at all. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say that, like, I'm not a fan, but I also wouldn't say that I am a fan. So, as far as, like, the things that he does, I'm not really too aware of. I mean, like, once in a while, like, I'll see him, like, on TV or on the radio or something like that. But as far as it goes, when you were talking about, like, how he would, like, basically, like, copy a sound from, like, a certain... I could definitely see that, because I think, like, his last album was very reminiscent of that period.
Yeah, it's very New Jack Swing influenced. And then people were talking about another part of it, because there was, like, when I interviewed Soph, we were talking about how the reason why I believe he won over, like, Jay-Z and Kendrick is because it's a fun album. Mm-hmm. So it goes into that aspect of it being fun and just people not paying attention to what's going on in the world and just wanting to be entertained instead of talking about real issues in the world. Mm-hmm. So there was, like, also, you have to bring that into the thing as well. Do we just want to be entertained, or do we want to talk about stuff that needs to be talked about?
Right.
So that's always interesting.
Yeah.
When you talk about that. But it's interesting because I'm in the same place as you. Like, I'm not a fan, but I'm not like not a fan. Like, if his song came on like 24 Karat Magic, like I would dance to it in a club. Like, if I was with my friends, but like I don't like search for his music. Like, if I'm on Spotify, on iTunes, or anything like that.
Yeah,
it's mostly just like if it's background noise, I can deal with it.
Right.
And then the only reason, to be honest, the only reason why I could deal with it is because it sounds so familiar. So it's like I feel like that's why. And then they got a lot of backlash, of course, because of what Seren said, and then just because the timing of it, because they talked about it like about 2 weeks or so after he won.
Okay.
So like people are still like going off of the Grammy nomination and Grammy wins that he won. So people are trying to say that they were just hating on him because he was doing black music better than black people and stuff like that. So it got into that whole debacle of a whole another thing.
Right.
Oh, and another thing I meant to say, one of Seren's points is a lot of people of color and just the world period has like an anti-blackness thing. So it's like, do people want? It seems like people want black music to be performed by people that aren't black. So it's like it goes into that aspect of it as well, because you see that black artists do the same thing that Bruno Mars is doing, but don't get paid for it. But if like Justin Timberlake did it, he gets paid for it. It's like that blue-eyed soul thing. So like Adele gets like there's African Americans that do the same thing Adele does, but she gets paid more. And then you have Bruno Mars, who's a person of color, but he's lighter skinned.
Okay,
and he gets that. So it's a lot of nuance to it. So it's like, it's kind of hard to say directly like, oh yes, he's definitely.
But it's definitely there.
Yeah, it's definitely there. Like I think like it's on like the lower end of it, because I don't think like it's like to the stratosphere like it would be if he was white.
Right.
To be honest, but that's just my opinion. And it seems like we kind of agree.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see it. I mean, honestly, like, something about him I can hurt my friend just, like, rubs me, like, the wrong way. Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm, like, a bit biased in that sense. With that.
And that's another thing, too. I think I'm a little bit biased. And, like, in some, like, because I researched it as well, like, what cultural appropriation was. And it pretty much was talking about what I just talked about with you and researched it. And then looking at history, and then I'm in history of pop music right now. So you see all these genres that like African Americans have created.
Oh yeah.
But after like a couple of like less than a decade, like white artists take it because it's popular. Yeah. And they like kind of like dumb it down a little bit and then make it their own, and then people think that they created it. 100%. Like look at Elvis Presley. People think that he's the king of rock. Like he created rock, and it's really not. Like. And even country is based off of a lot of folk music from African Americans, and people don't understand that. Then I don't remember when Beyonce performed at the CMAs with the Dixie Chicks, and then she got like all this backlash from country fans because they were like, "Why is this black woman on country the Country Music Awards?" I'm just like, you know that. Like, people have created this, right? You know, they're taking a lot of influences from African culture. You know that, right? So it's always interesting. And it kind of just shows how, unfortunately, we're still in a racist society. Oh, yeah. Which is sad. Because it's 2018. And we're still dealing with this. Like, I'm 22, and my parents... Yeah. But when you think about it, we've only practically been free since the civil rights movement, because once we were able to vote, that's when we actually were free. To be honest, so it's not that long. It's not that far removed from all the like discrimination and all that.
Yep, I agree.
And so let's get off that hard topic. I'm trying to find something in, because one thing. There was one thing I just forgot about. Oh, here it is. Oh, interesting. Okay, so there's this article that was just released today on Billboard, and it talks about the U.S. music industry hits highest revenue mark in a decade, fueled by paid subscriptions, which I find it very interesting. So I'm just going to read a little bit of it. For the second year in a row, the U.S. music industry produced double-digit growth, with total consumer spending of music growing to $8.72 billion, a 16.5% increase from the prior year of 2016, when those revenue reached almost $7.5 billion. That year, U.S. music revenue had grown 11.5% from 2015's $6.71 billion, according to the, I don't know what that is, RIAA. I don't know what the hell that is, to be honest. But if you guys want to check this article out, it's on Billboard.com, and it should pop up when you search on the business part of Billboard. So I want to talk about that because what I believe is mostly based off of Spotify, since that's mostly what's used in like Tidal and stuff like that. So it seems like streaming services have helped over the years, especially since it's been like a steady increase since 2015. Yes, 2015. So I just wanted to get your thoughts about it, because we still know that there's while the industry at large, like the business part of it, is growing, we still don't see the same amount of growth, say, for artists creating the art.
Right.
So, like, it's interesting how they talk about and celebrate this for the business side, but when it comes to the creative side of it, we're still trying to
I was going to say,
balance.
is that like the payout to the artist, or just like, you know?
From what I've been looking at on this thing as we're talking, it seems like it's pretty much just the business of it. Okay. It's not even like it's pretty much like digital album sales, but like most of the revenue is it's not talking anything about the artist in this article at all.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
I find it interesting because last year, I'm pretty sure like it was still that most of the people that were on Spotify were like unpaid subscribers. So I kind of find it interesting that like with over a year, it kind of changed. And I'm kind of curious as to what made people
start paying,
switch over.
Because the only reason why I switched over, to be honest, is because we had the student discount.
Same, yeah.
So, like, I'm on it because of the student discount, and I'm most likely after, like, I'm out of school, I'm still probably going to use the, because what's the regular thing? Is it like $7? Is it like $10? $10, something like that, for a subscription? So I'll probably still do it, because it's just like me going to the gym for $10, so it's not that big.
Yeah.
But most people, like you said, most people I know that, like, probably aren't, like, music people will do the free one. Yeah. And, like, I don't see, like, I haven't heard from, like, Spotify or any other place, like, because I know Tidal doesn't have a free thing for their subscription service. But Spotify is, like, the only one that doesn't have, that has a free tier. So it's interesting because they said, like, in recent articles, like, Spotify is going to be the savior of the music industry. And I'm just like, how's it going to be the savior of it when we have the free thing? And most people, it's like 50% on one side and 50% on the other side.
I'm wondering, like, if it also had anything to do with, like, when you got the subscription, you also got a subscription, like, Hulu, I think it was. Yeah,
because that's another part of it, too. Yeah. Because I already had it for, like, a year, but that just got introduced probably a year ago, around there or so. And that was good for me because I was generally on Netflix because I paid for Netflix. Right. But now that I have Hulu, I can watch both now because of that. And then even if, for me, since I'm on Sprint, there's like a thing for Hulu as well on there. Oh, okay. So even if I stop for Spotify with the Hulu thing, which most likely I won't, I can get off of my off of Sprint for the deal. Right. So that's interesting. Right. But I just find it interesting that they're talking about, this is such a great, like, percentage drop increase from what we were in 2015, 2016. But to me, it seems like the artists are still getting shitted on the whole time while you're making a whole bunch of money.
I know they were like talking about increasing the payout, but I don't know if that's happened yet. I thought I saw something about like they increased it by like maybe like a cent or so or something like that, but nothing I don't think big enough for it to be like, wow, we're making money off of Spotify.
Yeah. And that's always interesting to me. But you can never tell with the music industry. It's always interesting. And then we're still in an era where we're trying to catch up to all the other industries. Because the entertainment industry, when it comes to like acting and stuff like that, it feels like they were ahead of the curve before the music industry. So we're catching up while everybody else is kind of like just increasing steadily. So that's always interesting. But I just want to talk to you from now on because I think it's going to be interesting for people that don't really know about RMG because we haven't talked about RMG as much as I wanted to in the past couple interviews. But can you talk about like what made you start RMG and about your help with the promotion and stuff like that? So
RMG is actually based out of a class that's required for the music industry majors. And so I went into it earlier than I was supposed to, and it was at the start of it. So basically we built up a student-run label, and we found talent around campus, around school, and in the area to be on it. And I mostly do like social and digital media, which is like posting on like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. But I also do some pictures and stuff for them from time to time, like at the events, or if an artist needs a picture or whatever for some kind of promotional reason, I'll do that. And I created the website for them. It's rowanmusicgroup.com, so you can check that out. But that's pretty much it.
Is that recent? Do you recently do that?
Yep, it just went up about, I think it was like a week or so ago.
Okay. That's interesting. So it's actually like a website with everything on it now. So instead of Facebook, because I remember you guys had the Facebook at first, and then it was just like the Instagram. You would post regularly on there.
Yeah, so now the website's up. We have some videos up there of some artist documentaries, and all our artists are up there, as well as our staff, which I did all the pictures for. So you can find out who does what within RMG there. Okay.
So, and this is all run, I know MacArthur is pretty much the one running the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So, this is one of the professors at Rowan University. He's been in the music industry before, and he actually manages like songwriters and artists in the music industry now. So it's a good help that he's part of this, starting up the label.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway. So I wanted to talk to you, what are your influences and like what made you want to get into RMG, and then what made you get into wanting to create music?
So honestly, like getting into RMG, I'll be dead honest with you, I did it because I had to do it, but also I've always had that desire before to kind of start some kind of like label or music collective. So that's definitely opened my eyes up to it more and made me even like further want to maybe possibly one day do something like that, like start something of my own. It's definitely a lot of work, I will say that. But it's rewarding too. Once you like can bring people to a point where they want to be and help them out with things that they want to do, it's really great. As far as music goes, I will admit I've been out of it for a while, which honestly is something I really want to get back into because I miss playing, and it was something that definitely kept me like, it makes you feel good when you play or sing. So it's like almost like a stress reliever. So it's definitely something I want to do again. And as far as like my inspiration for that, as I mentioned earlier, huge fan of Fleetwood Mac. I love Stevie Nicks. There's just like so much history within her, and she just handles everything so gracefully, and everything comes out in her songwriting, which I love. I love like really good songwriters, and she's one of them. So she's definitely a huge inspiration for me when it comes to personal music.
Makes sense. So, speaking of you wanting to get back into it, like I know you've been recently like doing some covers on Instagram.
Yeah.
On your personal page. So is that like the start of you trying to get some of it back
So I have this one cover that's out. It's been out for a while, but it was professionally recorded. It's a cover of Bruce Springsteen's "I'm on Fire," and that's actually going to be on one of the compilations coming out through RMG, the cover compilation. And we're gonna maybe be filming some videos to go along with that. So I'm hoping that's gonna kind of get me like going, like kind of starting off. But I do like putting stuff up on like Facebook or whatever, just like small covers.
Yeah. Because I saw some of them and I really liked them as well.
Thank you.
Was in the song that you were talking about, the cover, was that the one that you, because I don't remember, I think one of my classes I was in, that Morgan came in. I think it was my songwriting class. That Morgan was in, and then she played your song, but you were in there and you were like, don't play this song. Was that song?
Yeah, with Ben.
Yeah, right? With Ben. So, yeah. I remember that song too. That's a very good cover. Is that still on SoundCloud, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And what's your SoundCloud for them?
It's Brittany Cook Music.
Brittany Cook Music. Okay. And I'll post all this stuff on another post as well on our Instagram page. So we were talking about before we started this interview about internships.
Yes.
So I know.
It's such a daunting task.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, you'll go on there and you'll look at like a listing and it'll be like, oh, you must have this experience. And you're like, I'm trying to get the experience right now by doing this internship. Mm-hmm. How would you like me to have like this prior experience? Which I mean, I can kind of say I do with like working through like RMG and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But it's just like, kind of like you sit there and you scratch your head and you're like, wait a minute, like
how am I supposed to do this?
How
am I going to apply for this and you actually get like the job? Like, because I'm in the same place. Because I'm just like, they're like, oh, you need to have experience in sound reinforcement and live sound. And I'm like, I'm actually in a class for that right now. So does that kind of count for it? Like, I don't know if this is going to count for this internship. And it's like, it being my senior year, and I'm going to be like a super senior next year. Right. It's like, so was I supposed to have this experience going on before I got to this spot as a senior? Because it's kind of conflicting because I came in later since I transferred over.
Same, yeah.
So it's like, I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah,
so
I'm
still stressed out about getting an internship as well. So I understand the like stress,
the
huge stress of trying to get all this stuff coming out. So another thing I wanted to talk about was, do you have any like? While now I know you're trying to get back into it, but do you plan on doing any like live performances, like either like be it at school? Like I know we have an open mic night and stuff like that. Do you have any aspiration to like do that? Or
I mean, definitely. Like I would love to. The only thing I will admit that's like holding me back from that is I have really bad stage fright, like so bad. And I used to play out like every week before, and it went away, and I was like, good. But now since it's like been a while, it's like it's like that first like time you get back up there, and you're just like, oh my god, everybody's staring at me, and they're gonna hate me, and it's just like So I definitely want to. It's just like that first step and getting past that, and then like I think I'll be fine.
Yeah, we share that because I have stage fright as well.
Oh really?
So
see,
like,
I would never know with you.
You would never know, but like and that it took a while for that to happen. Like because I started off dancing first. Okay. So dancing, you really don't have to look at the crowd, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Like you let the crowd like to go on facial expressions to know that you're having fun on the stage. Yeah. But like you really don't have to pay attention to them. Mm-hmm. You literally just have to look over their heads and just dance the whole time. So like that's pretty much where I started off. But I always wanted to sing as well. Mm-hmm. So I was always influenced by like Michael Jackson and like James Brown and stuff like that, and Prince and all that.
Yeah.
So like I always wanted to be a performer, not just a singer. So I've always been singing, but I never was like confident in my voice because I always thought my voice was too high.
Okay.
So like I always hated it. I was like, why can't I just sing like the regular guys now? Like my voice is too high. Like why am I able to hit like Mariah Carey notes for no apparent reason without even trying? So like I always got mad about that. So that stopped me from doing it. But like recently, like I started like probably 2 years ago. Like I started getting like solos in choir, and then like just people like applauding you after a while if you just sing, and then like you understanding that your voice is actually good instead of you thinking that it's terrible, which most people always think their voice is terrible. Like, if they listen to it anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not even, like, actual, like, other people being like, you suck. It's just, like, me being like, you suck.
Yeah, and then, like, you hearing every single mistake that she made. Yep. It's just like, oh, so I just made a mistake right there. I hope nobody heard it. And then you listen to people, and they're like, oh, my God, you sounded so great. I'm just like,
what are you listening to?
Yes. Like, what are you listening to? Like, you should have heard that I just literally hit the wrong note. Like, you should have heard that. But that's always interesting when it comes to singers critiquing themselves while they're singing, and then people looking at it and just like, oh, that was great. So I'm going to skip that question because that doesn't make sense right now. So again, I just want to get into more of the R&B stuff so people have more of like an understanding of what it is. So since it is a student-run label, and then you're releasing the covers, compilation album, right? Mm-hmm. So is this one, because I remember the first one, it wasn't on Spotify or anything like that, and it wasn't going to be like paid. Like, we weren't going to get like money from it.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure yet, like what's going on with that, but I know most of them are going to just be through like Bandcamp and SoundCloud and stuff like that. Especially the cover one, because that kind of gets a little bit dicey with like, you know, rights and stuff like that. So they'll definitely be up, and most will be free. Mm-hmm.
So. Okay. Because I remember I think I remember before you guys were talking about like doing an album that was going to be like you guys were going to actually get paid off of. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking that album was going to be that until you told me about the cover. So I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I think it's like still a little bit down the road.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's get into your photography. So what got you into being a photographer? And
so in high school, I had this friend, and she was like this model. She was like awesome, and she was like Ukrainian, and she was like so beautiful, and she would just like do that like in her spare time, because that was always like what she wanted to be. Mm-hmm. So like she kind of like taught me like how to like work her camera and stuff to like, you know, help her get the shots that she wanted. Mm-hmm. And it was like always like so much fun, and we'd always just like, you know, we'd make like a day out of it, and we would just go different places to get like different kind of like, you know, scenery and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that kind of like started it. And then about like a year or so ago, I really got into like live photography, like concerts and stuff like that. Because like people always be like, "Oh, do you mind like coming to my show and like taking some pictures?" I'm like, "Sure." So I got into that, and I really like that because you meet a lot of people, and you also get to like see a show. So like it's like best of both worlds. But I would like to do more portraits, like which is just like, you know, like a picture, like, you know, of a person or whatever. I would like to do more of that, and I've been like working with like some people in the area. Doing stuff like that. But that's, you know, pretty much the extent of it.
Do you have any like influences by like other like photographers?
Honestly, like it's a lot of local people, like Instagram, people that I know from like around here, because they do like awesome work, and it's just like out there, and I'm like, oh my God, like you should be like huge right now, because it's like so great. So it's definitely like people like that, you know. I love to see people in the community, you know, working together and making stuff. I think that's really great. Yeah, because a lot of people I went to high school actually are photographers as well. Right. And like some of them actually go to school now. Like there's somebody I went to before I transferred over. He went to RCGC with me. His name is Josh, but I forget what his his Instagram handle is. And then there's somebody I went to high school with. Like he was like 2 years behind me, but his name is James Adams. Like he posts mostly on Instagram and Facebook stuff, so you'll see his stuff, and it's like really like artsy. It's very artsy stuff. Like it's very like it's like ethereal kind of thing. It's like very dark, like contrast photos and stuff like that. It's very interesting. Wow. So like if you guys want to see that, check James out on I think if you search James Adams, he should pop up, if I'm not mistaken. But I'll try and get all this stuff, again, on our Instagram as soon as possible, so you guys can understand what I'm talking about. And then Josh, I'll try to find his Instagram so you guys can see that. So you were talking about like portraits, you want to start doing more. So I'm not like familiar with photography, so this is like interesting to me. When it comes to like, what do you think are your like best shots, and what do you think are probably your worst shots? I definitely think my best shots would be like I said, like live stuff that I do, like concert photography and stuff like that. I have a couple of portrait shots that like I really like. I also was saying that I also just like do like band like photo shoots and stuff like that, like for artists. So I really like that. I mean, mainly, honestly, if somebody looks at a picture of themselves and they love it, then I consider that something like one of my best like shots, because it's like somebody has something of them that they like really like, and it's making them feel good. So, you know, that's always something that like I kind of strive to do, like make other people feel great about themselves.
And again, so what's your process? Like, either be for like a portrait, for like if somebody wants a group photo, say it'd be for like their album cover or anything like that, or just like for websites or pictures they want. Like, what's your process?
So there's this band that I work with frequently. They're called Domini, and they kind of have, so their music is like surf rock. And they kind of have like this like vintagey like vibe to them, like 70s. So we kind of just like scope out like places that kind of have that vibe, and then we go off of that. So it's a lot of just like figuring out that person's personality or the vibe of like their project or what they're trying to go for, and then finding somewhere that, you know, kind of like accommodates that like feel.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
And getting into more of the technical stuff, since I'm not like knowledgeable about this. So I always hear like from watching like modeling shows, like America's Sex Top Model, like, you hear about all this stuff. Like, people talk about like the lighting, and like certain light works for different like skin tones, and like certain things you have to contrast to make it work for certain aspects of the photo. So say for me, since I'm like a more darker skinned person, people say that it needs a little bit more contrast or light, or is it somewhere around there? Like, how would you photograph me personally?
I mean, like, that stuff all kind of just like depends on like where you are too, like you know, like what the atmosphere is like the lighting where you are. And then also a lot of that can be done, like, you know, in the camera, like before you actually take the picture. And then afterwards, I normally go into a program called Lightroom, and that's where you can kind of like get into like the technical stuff and like alter like the light and all from there. So I can't really say it's like one thing for like, you know, like
everybody.
You kind of just like gotta go with it. And I'll be honest, like technical wise, like I'm not like all kind of like there with like the lingo and stuff, but like I'm just like that person where it's like, you know, I just know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I kind of just go in and do it, but like I can't sit here and like technically like explain to you. It's kind of like I just like mess with stuff until like I think it looks great. Yeah.
That's interesting. So for you can answer this for both. Being a photographer and probably a singer. So what like would be like your dream collaborations?
So like honestly, like, you know, I heard people say it's not as big now as it used to be, but like I would love to have some kind of like spot in Rolling Stone. Like that's such like a classic for me, where like if I could get a picture in there of like a band I took or like do a shoot for them, that would be like amazing. Musician wise, like again, like I'm gonna go back to it. If I could ever, for God knows whatever reason, share the stage with Stevie Nicks, my life would be complete. Like I just love her so much, and I would just love to meet her, just to, like share the same space as her, and be like, wow, I just like shared a space with like a queen. Like I would be so happy, because like I said, she's just like fantastic. But that would definitely be something that would be like amazing.
That's great. And you were talking about her songwriting. What about her songwriting stands out to you? Like, is it just like...
So, it's just like, it's so honest. She doesn't really hold back when she has feelings, and that's what makes it so great. Because, like, you kind of find, like, a lot of people, like, looking for, like, vague ways to say things, but she kind of just, like, comes out and says it. You know, because she was in the band with a person that she loved for like the longest time, and you just like think of like everything that she, you know, had to deal with, like that other person, you know, being with other people and whatnot, and like vice versa. So like when she writes about that, she's just like honest about it, and you know, she's writing this music with that person. So it's like really cool.
That makes sense, because that's very true what you said. Most artists do try to make it more vague, and they usually do, like even in the songwriting class, like we were talking about how being specific is kind of hard when it comes to getting like mass appeal, and that's why a lot of stuff is vague, because you want everybody to be able to, you want it to be as universal as possible, for everybody to accept it as a good song.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always interesting when you hear people that are like very direct and very honest about their things, and then they're very successful because it kind of goes against the grain of what songwriting is supposed to be about. So I actually like Stevie Nicks as well. So
dude, I love her so much.
I respect her a lot. And then I respect a lot of I just respect a lot of honest writing. Like SZA, I respect her writing as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's very honest. She's a New Jersey native as well, which also helps with that. And then you go into, even though it's not always as direct, like I love Mariah Carey's songwriting as well. Mm-hmm. It's very like it's particular, but not too particular, where you can like definitely know who exactly she's talking about. But songwriters like that, I really respect.
Yeah.
And you go back into back in the day, like with Motown, you think of Smokey Robinson, and then all those people that wrote for like Diana Ross and the Supremes, and Smokey writing his own stuff that I still listen to today, that people cover. Like, you look at just the art of it, and it's just amazing. So.
Yeah, I definitely love when people write their own music and they sing it, because you just get that much more like emotion out of it.
Yeah,
you know.
Mm-hmm. And it's always funny when people do that too, because I'm like, how do you write your own stuff? Because like there's stuff I wrote for myself, I'm just like, how the hell am I going to sing this one? and then even them giving their music to somebody else, like, how do you do that?
Oh, I could never.
That's like you literally taking like a piece of your soul and like sending it to somebody else.
I could never
for them to sing it
for somebody else.
For somebody to sing it, like. It kills me every single time. And, like, you hear about it all the time. Like, there's a podcast called The Friend Zone. And recently there was two songwriters that I've worked with, like Whitney Houston and Jasmine Sullivan and Fantasia, artists like that. And, like, Neo and stuff like that. They were talking about, like, how they got started and stuff like that. And, like, some of the pitfalls they were going through. It was probably 3 weeks ago. I'm catching up because I've been busy with this podcast and with school. So, like, I'm a little bit late with a lot of the stuff, guys. But it's, like, the third to last episode. Well, now it's going to be fourth to last episode since I'm talking about it right now, because they just released a new episode today. So, again, they were talking about songwriting, and they were talking about getting into songwriting and then writing for these artists and how they try to make it as honest as possible with the artist they were picking. They wanted to like craft the song to be exactly what the artist would want, and also what they could collaborate with them to make. So it's always interesting to hear songwriters talk about it, because I don't know if I could do it yet.
Right.
Because I'm always like, I don't know, because it always goes into the thing of, are they going to listen to your critiques of it because you wrote it, and are they going to take it into account and actually do it the way you want them to do it?
Right.
Because it goes into like your psyche of, oh, if I did this, this is how it's supposed to sound. But then they take it, and then it's like a whole different song from what you.
Yeah, that's
wanted.
definitely where like you like if you're doing that for another artist, you have to like kind of like get to know them a little bit before. And kind of like, you know, vibe with them and kind of see where they want to go with it. And then you kind of have to like write it around, you know, their ideas, rather than like, you know, definitely you're there to, you know, write, but, you know, really kind of just get with them and what they want out of it.
Yes, that was interesting. So, okay, guys, we're back with more of the conversation. So I just wanted to get into, I guess I know, are you going to be, there's going to be a performance at the art gallery that we're having? Are you part of the promotion for that as well?
Yeah.
Like, are you taking pictures for that?
Yep, definitely. I'll be there.
And that is all starting, let me get the dates correct. So that's next week, right? Is that the 26th or the 29th?
I think it is actually, I think it's the 30th.
The 30th?
It's a 2-day thing.
Because I know there was the DJs. There's a DJ one, and then it's the artist one.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you guys are in the area, it's on Rowan's campus. It's at the new art gallery that was just made. Was that a few months ago? It just started, the art gallery, or was it?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I kind of confused because I think there was an art gallery before, but I think they renovated it or like updated it or something like that.
Okay.
And it took like a while or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So if you guys are in the area, you guys can come to Rowan. Some of the artists that I've interviewed before, like Ken, Javon, Soph, and others are going to be performing as well. So please check them out. And then there's a DJ panel there as well. And like Chase and Treasure, which is Carl, one of the producers and DJs I interviewed. And then Nate Rodriguez, Activate, is going to be there as well. So please check them out on those days. And I'll post stuff on the stream as well. So I guess I'm going to go into like a day in the life of me. Mm-hmm. So I guess we can talk. Me and Brittany have a similar class together. We were talking about this as well before we started the interview. But we have like the intro to performance class that I was talking about before, and how I've been stressed out because I had to learn all these daggone songs. And like we have the set list now. We have to perform like probably when we have to perform in April.
Yeah. It's like the end of April.
Like the end of April. We have to perform at the end of April. And we're talking about like some of the interesting facts about working in this class.
Yeah.
And like the pitfalls. So we're talking specifically about one of the teachers that we work with for this class, and how like we don't feel like we're necessarily getting what we thought we were going to get from the class. Because when I first got into the class, like I thought we were going to think about, because I was mainly, to be honest, I was thinking of like in theater terms, like because I did a musical before.
Okay.
So like I was thinking of like, so we're going to figure out how we're going to learn about stage presence, and then learn about like staging and how we're supposed to be like staged on stage, like the instrument's going to be like staged right here, and then the performers are going to be pretty much spaced out on stage, mm-hmm. and how we're supposed to walk on stage, and how we're supposed to project on stage and make sure that we're being heard throughout the whole venue. So I thought it was going to be more like that, but it seems like it's just pretty much us learning songs and performing it.
Yep. I definitely thought the same thing. Like, it was be more of like a performance aspect, which is something I definitely could improve on. So mm-hmm. I was kind of looking forward to it. But it's nothing what I thought it was going to be. Yeah,
which is kind of sad about. Like, and then it's like a combination of me and Jackson were talking about it in the last podcast. How it's like a combination of people that don't actually sing, and like a combination of people that actually do.
Right.
So it's like another aspect that's mm-hmm. I think is what makes, even though we don't seem to be getting stuff about like stage presence and stuff like that, kind of is interesting to see how we all work together mm-hmm. when it comes to us not being in the same like level of being comfortable on like the stage. So right. like kind of helps us with collaboration as well. So I feel like even though we don't get that, we kind of learn how to better collaborate with people on stage. Mm-hmm. So I find that interesting. But I guess I usually talk about myself, but like, what do you usually do? Because I know you're busy. Yes.
Okay.
Especially with you being like the main photographer the main promoter for RMG and stuff like that.
So in a day, I mean, actually, I have another job. So, it's through this program that's actually like a volunteer program, but you still get paid for it. Mm-hmm. And we work with, preschool kids, get them ready for kindergarten.
Oh.
So, I mean, you can imagine how crazy that alone is. So on those days that I have work, I work till like about 3:30, and then I go to class from there, basically. I have a night class. And then on the other 2 days, I just have like school all day, mm-hmm. Which one of those classes is like the RMG class. Mm-hmm. And we basically kind of just sit there and we like talk about ideas and whatnot we're going to be doing for upcoming projects. And then I have the performance class, mm-hmm. which that is interesting in itself, as I mentioned.
Very interesting.
And the rest of my day just consists of a lot of like stressing out and being anxious and being like, oh my god, how am I going to get all this stuff done on time?
You sound like me.
Yeah, so
that literally sounds exactly like me.
And I also like work with a band like outside of this, doing like helping with like a lot of creative stuff. Mm-hmm. I just like help them film a music video and just like helping them too with their social media and kind of like what to post, when to post. So it's just like everything at once, you know, especially this time of year, because at the end of school, like, everybody kind of just, like, they're like, do this, like, all this stuff at once. And then you kind of have to, like, figure that out. So, yeah, that's where I'm like, right now, just stressed. And
I'm kind of in the same place.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like, because I'm trying to still figure out, because I'm not, like, a social media person. Like, even though Britt's helping me with social media and, like, posting and stuff like that, like, I'm not, like, a social media person. So it's, like, I don't know, like, some of the aspects of, like, posting and, like, when's the best time to post this and when's the best time to post this to get the most likes.
It also kind of, like, that stuff depends on, like, what day it is. But definitely you want to keep up a presence. So if you can, post something, like, once a day. And if you can't do that, then try to make it, like, every other day. Definitely that's, like, key. Just so, like, people keep seeing you and then they're like, all right, what's this person all about, you know? And it makes them curious.
Yeah, because that's always one of those things. Because then I'm not one of those people that likes to take selfies at all either. Right. So I'm just like, so do I take a picture of, like, what I'm eating? Do I take a picture of, like, the environment I'm around? Do I post that? So it's like, and then I heard that, like, especially for, like, the podcast, when I'm, like, doing this, like, the best days are, like, during the week. Like, you don't want to do something on Fridays. You want to do, like, something, if you do it, you do it, like, on the weekends if you're going to post stuff about your podcast. So that's, like, a learning thing I'm trying to learn as well. So it's, like, interesting. And, like, all these different things. And I've been watching YouTube videos about, like, trying to figure out, this works for this people. And then trying to figure out how I can get a better editing software for, like, just my YouTube videos, period. And then, like, the podcast. Yeah. Which also costs money, which is stressful. Because, like, I had to balance making money, getting money, then spending money, and then being like, oh, you have to eat dinner so you don't die, and drink something so you don't die. So you have to factor that in too as well. Then you have to factor in stressing out because you have to get all this stuff done and post, like, because I post 2 videos on my YouTube for reaction videos now, and that's every day except for Friday and the weekends. So literally I'm up at, like, until probably, like, 4 a.m. in the morning, editing Definitely. Along with the online class that I have that I just started, which is killing me. Okay. It's like,
please.
Oh my god, like the last paper we had to do for the assignment, it was 5 pages, right? So we had to do, it's for theater, but, like, we had to do, like, a character biography.
I had that class too.
So it was 5 pages, and you don't understand. Like, it literally took me, like, a day to try to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do.
Oh, I understand. Trust me.
Because I was just like, because they're like, oh, pick a character from this play and write a character biography about it. I'm just like, so how am I supposed to do this? Right. And so then I looked at the video. I was still confused. So that was, like, another day of me, like, being like, so we're supposed to make a whole biography about it. And then I suck at grammar, because, like, they didn't teach us that in school, really, about grammar. So, like, I suck at that. Like, I'm always confused about where, like, I know where to put commas, like, where it makes sense to put commas, but, like, when it does make sense to put commas, I forget where to do it. Right. And it's, like, remembering all the rules that you learned in high school, because, like, most of my classes after high school were mostly music-based. Right. So, like, it's all music notation. So, like, I don't really have to write essays and stuff like that. So, like, I'm kind of, like, returning back into writing stuff. So that's weird. So I'm like, so the comma goes there, but then the period goes here, and then, like, semicolon goes right there. But if you list something, then you have to put the commas right after that, and blah, 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 blah. So then I have to, like, then I get my parents to do it, and then they get mad at me because I'm forgetting how to do certain stuff that I should know how to do. And it's like, while stressing out about me doing reaction videos at night, stressing out about that, and then figuring out how to go to the gym, eat, sleep. Don't even. Like, I'm done with that. So it's like I'm pretty much done. Like, me and Brittany were just talking about, like, Brittany resting up, and just pretty much anybody I can talk to. We were just talking about how we need this year to end. Yes. So I can sleep. Like, we were talking about how, like, I just need at least, like, a day where I can sleep for 9 hours, and then after that, sleep for 12 hours, just to get my body like acclimated to being, like, not overworked and, like, so tired, because I feel like I have no time to sleep. Like, even today, like, waking up, I was like, so I literally slept past my alarm. So I'm just like, great. I hate sleeping past my alarm because I feel like I lose so much time that I could that was wasted on me sleeping. But like when I think of it, I needed that time to sleep because like if I didn't, then I would be overly tired and not be able to move. So it was always interesting being a college student and then trying to be an entrepreneur at the same time. So
trying to figure out my life.
Yeah, pretty much everybody's life at the college that I'm talking to and the people I'm around were kind of all like entrepreneur like minded as well, especially being in the music industry because you kind of have to do more than one job to stay afloat. So that's always interesting. I forgot my question. I just had a brain fart. I hate brain farts. God. That is hilarious. I just completely forgot. Alright. So, okay. Oh my God. That's hilarious. I really forgot.
I feel that.
Okay. Now I think I got it back. Okay. So there's going to be 2 more performances is this predominantly for the cover compilation album, these next 2 performances by RMG? Like at Creep Studios, Creep Studios and Volume Cafe again.
So the thing at Creep is just like an artist showcase.
Okay.
And then the Volume Cafe one, I'm pretty sure that's like our performance classes.
Okay.
Just performing. It's not going to be like the last one where they had like other people there. I think it's just going to be the classes.
Okay. Because I was confused because I thought it was going to be like a mix of all of us together. Like it was going to be a performance class and then the regular artists. Like
no, I don't think so. Not this time.
Okay. So that's interesting. So I'm going to probably see you there because you're going to be doing the photography and I'm most likely probably just going to be recording and taking pictures for the podcast as well. So I'll see you there and then I'm going to see you there anyway because we had to perform. So that will be interesting and seeing how everybody's faces are because that's
like, I can't wait for the reactions.
Yeah, the reactions are going to kill me. I'm like, because then some people are like, oh, I want to come and see you. I'm just like, don't come.
Don't come.
Don't come. When I'm actually proud of what I'm about to do, I'll tell you.
Right.
But this is not going to be interesting for you to see. You're going to be like, why do you sound like that? I'm like, because we don't know what the fuck we're doing. That's just how this class is going.
Pretty much.
Oh, now I remember what the question was. So, being a photographer, what are your like you said you wanted to you wanted to get into Rolling Stone. Do you have any other like elements of a dream of like working on certain projects? Like, do you want to like be somebody that works on people's like album covers?
Yeah.
And sorry about that. That's my phone. Busy as always. And like stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, like I mostly do that now with like local artists and stuff like that. So I would like to continue doing that, and if I could like at some point, be at the point where my work is good enough to be paid for it, like kind of on the side, just kind of have like this like side gig of like doing photography and stuff. And maybe, go into different, like, venues and doing, like, some live stuff as well and, getting paid for it. That'd be really cool. So something along those lines, I guess.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's fun. Because I'm always like, if I was a photographer, I would have so much stuff to do. I'm probably so dead. Because, like, there's a lot of stuff that you can actually get into and people don't talk about it. Because you can do not just personal work, like for people that model, but you can do like stuff for in the music industry as well. And like you don't think about how much photography is used as promotion for the artist as well. Like you don't think of the photographer when it comes to the album artwork. Like that's part of photography as well. Then you have to think of like the whole like. We don't get it as much now, but when you used to get that booklet in the album. and then like have a whole bunch of photos with the artist. Like that took a whole bunch of time with the photographer as well. Then you have promotion just to get like for promotional pictures for when they're on set for music videos. Don't think about that as well either. So like there's a lot of jobs for photographers in the music industry, and I'm glad that you're here so I can actually talk about it. Because that's what I wanted this to be about. I wanted it to be about artists, and then people that do like photography or like just like conceptual artists like that draw and like digital art and stuff like that, and like fashion, like because I believe people don't think about those jobs enough and don't give people enough credit for them. So
I agree.
So one question I always want to ask everybody that I interview is, what is your hope, or what do you think that you could help to generate a change in the music industry? Either it be by photography, on the photography side, or as an artist when you're creating your stuff.
I just like want there to be like this general idea and feeling that like there's enough for everybody, and you don't have to be like, oh, if this person does this, it's gonna like, you know, like throw me out or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have the idea of like abundance and like gratitude for everybody that's involved, then I think, you know, as a person, you'll be more successful. And I feel like it'll create like a general better vibe for the, you know, community, the music community and stuff. So I just think that's like really important, and it's kind of something I hope will change.
I think that's probably one of the issues I have with it as well. And like, because I think that if it was more cooperative, there would be a lot less. Even when it becomes to the fact of us not getting paid enough, I feel like if we learn how to work together and not think of each other as competition, because I think the music industry at large, especially when it comes to labels, kind of pits us together. I mean, pits us against each other to get to this one spot. And then even if you get on the label, there's no guarantee that you're going to be like the top artist on there, because you have to fight against people on the label as well to get promotion and stuff like that. So I believe if we started, like, I love this independent movement. Even on our campus, like, Jackson's part of like the 43 collective, which is like a collective of artists and musicians, which is like student run, and it's all about like artists collaborating with each other. And then like this podcast about me trying to get promotion for people that don't either want to get signed later on the line or just want to be independent and get their royalties and stuff like that together. Like, I think it's important for us to try and make it a better place for everybody. So I respect that idea. So I just want to thank you for coming in to be interviewed by me. I hope it was interesting, and I hope it was fun for you guys to hear, especially about the RMG stuff, because I wanted somebody from RMG to come in and talk about more of it in a general aspect, because I didn't like know everything about it. So it's interesting to have somebody that was actually part of like creating everything to be interviewed. But I'll see you guys in the next interview, and see you guys next week. So bye, guys.